Okay. So, let's see. Okay. And welcome back to the Community Game Plan, where we want to showcase our community, not just the real estate side of our lives. But today is going to be a little bit different. So, my name's Eric Holman, and my partner over here
I'm Jim
is
Smartin.
Jim Smartin.
How you doing?
Good. So yeah, so this podcast is gonna be a little bit different than some of them that we've done. We had an in-person guest, and it was pretty interesting because it kind of took us down a route that we haven't gone before. Um, but I thought it was very insightful, and we hope it is for you guys. We are definitely going to be having our guest on again, and hoping to go down another rabbit hole with him. So we're just going to throw this to our next interview and we'll give you a quick introduction. So we did have Matt Stickland of GrandParade newspaper and podcast. Um, I thought it was a really interesting thing. We kind of went into it open-minded, had a few topics in mind, and then we kind of let Jim go and myself go and Matt go and all that fun
Yeah,
stuff.
we could have gone all day.
Oh,
Oh,
if we didn't have a time restriction, all of us that day, I definitely think we could have gone for a couple more hours.
yeah.
Um, what was your kind of big one like that you liked the most? Like, I mean, we talked a little about property taxes. We talked about a few other options, things, but we'll leave that for the interview.
Yeah, to be honest, we're very big on trying to stay out of the political aspect of things.
Hmm.
Um, Seeing that municipal planning and how the municipal side of things work is very it was more city actually, and it was very political at the same time. Like it
Hmm.
was very more based on facts, not on sides. And with us, where we try to stay neutral across the board, I think it was a really deep conversation with nothing more than concepts back and forth.
Hmm.
Um, and I think everybody learned something. I think that was the big thing for me is I think everybody on both sides of the interview learned something on this one.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's Matt's definitely gone in deep with City Hall and everything he covers there with the municipality. But I think we had some insights that helped him maybe develop some future stories and things that he's going to be looking into as well.
Yeah, yeah. So really, I think as far as this one goes, where we stick with community, and there's nothing more community than our direct city.
Hmm.
Like this might not be the typical like small business that we tend to hit up, but to truly understand your community, uh, to an extent, you have to understand how your city works.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, we touched a little bit on bylaws, but that's a huge thing that I think we're definitely going to get into more with Matt. I would like to, because it's something, the more I've listened to Matt and followed him in the recent years, the more I've learned about our city that I never knew about. And, you know, the ins and outs of City Hall, especially and what's going on.
Hmm,
Um, our growth of our population has a huge factor of what's going on in City Hall, and we're learning a lot about that. And I mean, we did this interview with Matt prior to the recent announcements of the new submarine
right.
contract, which is going to bring even more people and more stress on our infrastructure. So it's going to be very interesting to keep an eye on City Hall over the next few years. I think those subs were 2030, I believe, when they were going to be start rolling out. So the city has a lot to do to get ready for that, plus everything else that they've been working on.
Yeah, the tie of real estate and city um decisions.
Hmm.
The fact that when he brings up later, and again, I'm not going to ruin it for everyone, but the talk that real estate actually sets the tone
Hmm.
for city building, I honestly thought it was the other way, and I just personally I had a lot of fun with this one. This was
It
a lot of
was.
fun.
Yeah. It got me thinking too. I know NSAR, Nova Scotia Association of Realtors, are are advocates and push to have our voices heard as real estate agents. But I've gotten the impression that they don't come to us enough. They don't come to our association, the city, to learn about what we're doing, and because we're feet on the ground
Right.
in the matter of what's going on in our housing market. And these diplomats are looking from 10,000 feet up, yeah, at times. So it'll be interesting to see definitely what happens, and we'll definitely be keeping in touch with Matt to follow along.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Like, and again, I had so much fun doing this interview. I like when my brain is challenged. I
Right.
like when my views are challenged. I like a good conversation.
Hmm.
And, I really think that this is like the stellar way to like really roll into the summer because I think it's got us more on our toes just from that conversation.
Very much so. So, without further ado, we'll throw to our interview with Matt Stickland of Grand Parade podcast and newspaper. And if you have any questions about City Hall that you would like us to ask Matt in the future, please reach out. And from here, hope you enjoy this next part, and we'll see you on the flip side.
Just lower. Just put
Da
it
da
all
da
the
da
way
da
down.
da 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 da.
I can't get much lower.
That's better, I think. Oh yeah.
Welcome to the Jim Martin Show.
No, I don't need to slouch any more than I do naturally.
Yeah, natural slouch is perfect for the camera.
Hell yeah.
Exactly what we want
Yeah.
to see. It reads really well.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
I'm sitting here from now on just like this.
This sounds really good.
I
Eric,
like
can
it.
Can I get you?
No. Oh my god. Jeez, the look. I rolled.
Oh, hold on.
I gave you your hard drive
hold
back. I gave you your hard drive back.
Yeah, after fucking 3 months.
I tried to get it to you sooner
I need that look. I need that evil look at Eric so I can.
so we can add it.
There we go. That is today's social media being done post.
Eric getting in trouble at recording.
It sounded good. But no, seriously, Eric, I need you a little bit.
Okay.
Just a little bit, though.
Harley had a horse named Harley.
I don't believe you.
I don't either. I never believe myself though.
Don't touch me.
I'm touching you right now.
Fine. As
Can you
long
feel that fade?
I can. It's amazing. I have never had somebody touch me in this way before, so I never knew I liked it.
Well, now you know. All right, gentlemen, we're sounding pretty good. At your leisure.
At my leisure.
I feel very leisurely sitting here, to be honest. I like this spot.
Sweet.
You're very front and center.
You know what? Where I belong.
Center anyway.
I'm here.
I
Yeah.
am present. Oh man.
Action.
Are we good?
I forgot I had a big head.
You don't even
There we
need to
go.
put those on if you don't want to.
Oh yeah, no, you gotta listen to yourself. Otherwise you get all fucked up.
I hate listening to
confuddled.
myself.
He does.
No,
I
but
do.
sometimes I get pretty intense, and if I can't hear myself, how I'm coming across in the mic, I sometimes
You don't realize how you're actually.
I get
Coming
too,
across.
get too hot. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I'm
you
just
probably
really I'm
you
wearing these
record
for-
by
for
yourself
your
too.
pro-
Most
I
of your
do,
stuff,
yeah.
so it's like I was listening to your last one this morning.
I
was like-
burned through two. I had a mic that lasted like 4 or 5 years, even with the intro, like the yelling intro, and then it finally went like 3 or 4 episodes, maybe 6 episodes ago, and then this new one is gone already. It's like motherfucker.
All right.
Yeah, no, I just love talking about this shit, you know.
Oh, I know.
Oh, is there swearing on the show?
You're more than welcome.
Sweet, I'll try to.
I
keep
don't
it
think
down,
we
though.
have yet, have we, Colin? Oh, we have.
That
You
face.
guys have
was-
sworn every episode. That face
I'm
says you guys
pretty
have sworn
sure
every
we're-
episode.
Yeah, I'm pretty
Oh,
sure.
I know we
we've
have in
never
like
heard a bleep.
bloopers. I know we have in the blooper
Yeah,
end,
there's
but
episode 11, but there was, what was it?
I don't remember.
It was 8 or 9.
It was definitely Eric.
Where it was Eric.
Mhm.
I had to cut out so much because it was literally just 15 minutes of fucking this.
Oh, what's it, the
fucking
chair?
that, and it was the chair.
It was the
Oh,
chair.
well,
the
yeah,
chair
that,
episode.
That
Yeah.
blooper reel, yeah.
Oh,
All right, either way.
I love that episode.
God fucking damn it.
That one's right there.
That's why I
Anyway,
won't sit in it.
I was gonna make coffee, by the way.
Why?
You guys are dialed in. You sound great. So
Okay.
talk about yourselves.
Okay.
All right. Bye. All right. So, welcome to the Community Gameplan. Special episode. We have an in-guest person with us. This is very rare. This is only the second time we've had in-guest. So, my name is Eric Holman. This is Jim Smarden.
Hi.
And today we have with us Matt Stickland from the GrandParade podcast and newspaper. Today, we might as well just start out. Matt, please introduce us. Tell us a little bit more about the GrandParade podcast and your newspaper and how you got involved with that.
Yeah, so I'm the founding editor of GrandParade newspaper. It's a weekly paper that comes out every Monday. You can get an actual physical paper with crossword in Atlantic News and Trident Bookstore. I started that. So I was in the Navy for a really long time, 10 years, and then I got medically released from the Navy after my deployment and, that whole thing. But we're not going to be talking about that. Has nothing to do with community planning or whatever. And then I was trying to figure out what to do after that. And the Navy gives you some money to go back to school, get some retraining, what have you. So I went back to school. I was trying to figure out what to do, and I was like, man, I think I might go into journalism. My wife was like, yeah, obviously. And I was like, well, okay, cool. Why is that obvious for you? She's like, well, you love politics. You love telling stories. I was like, yeah, okay, fair enough. So then I went to King's, and then I started a publication that didn't work called Committee Trawler. I ran out of runway on that one before it became profitable. But then right as that was falling apart, Overstory Media Group was buying The Coast, and The Coast was looking for a City Hall reporter because their City Hall reporter had left to go. I think she ended up teaching at King's, actually, is what she moved on to. And then so I did that for a couple of years, and then there was the Coast Overstory Media Group ownership decided to do some pretty questionable things, which led to the departure of the two reporters, myself and the other reporter, as well as the managing editor. Yeah. Then after that, I was trying to figure out what to do, and I decided I wanted to keep doing City Hall reporting, and I tried to figure out what that looked like. And then I think it's really important that we have some sort of access to information that, like Mark Zuckerberg or any one of the tech companies does not control. So I tried to figure out how to get a paper right back, and that's how come there's an actual physical paper, and I just decided to do a newspaper. I decided to make it a weekly instead of a daily, just to kind of make the work-life balance better. Yeah. And the podcast, that started as a Coast production, but about a couple weeks before I left, they were planning on firing people, so they were trying to make the people who they were planning on having stay happy. So they were like, we're not going to let you do this podcast as part of the Coast work anymore, but do you want us to sign over the IP of the podcast to you? And I was like, yes, I do want that. So I kept that going in the interim, and then when the paper started, I kept doing it. So now there's a podcast and a paper every Monday covering exclusively City Hall.
That's very awesome. Cool. Yeah. I mean, I've been following you since you've been at the Coast, and your Wanderers Ground podcast, which is unfortunately haven't been around for a while yet.
R.I.P. Yeah, no, my co-host for that one, his life changed, and couldn't make it work anymore.
Yeah, no, I understand, but you guys were great in that too. The big thing I've been following, because I grew up in Dartmouth. Jim grew up in Echoes and those types of areas, so we've been here for a long time, but we've also been away from a long time. I spent 15 years away. We're both military families, so we've dealt with all that type of stuff as well. So one of the things I did want to talk to you about is some of the Halifax politics, and you've been teaching me so much, because I'm not a politic guy, right? It just goes in one ear, one out the other most of the time. But I mean, I do understand what's going on, and I do want to learn more about what's going on, especially in my city. And so when I did come across GrandParade podcast, I was like, oh, this is great. I'm learning some information that I wouldn't get anywhere else, because I was not getting it on CBC or Global or CTTV or wherever. So Halifax, I mean, it's been a failing accomplishment. Let's talk about real estate tax, the property taxes, the reform over the last 20 years. Why has this been such a hard thing to fix? And do you see any real optimism in this in the future?
No. The short answer is no. There is not a lot. Well, I mean, yes and no. I think a lot of people are becoming more aware of just how much of an issue property taxes are with both the cap and the way we've built our city, which both are the two big factors that go into what make taxes unfair. I was listening to the show that you guys were recording right before this one because I snuck into the studio early there, and you guys were talking about how, I don't know, I couldn't hear the person who wasn't here, but essentially when you buy a house, your property tax resets and you got to budget for that.
Yeah.
But so I bought pre-COVID. I bought in 2011 for $150,000, which means this year is the first year that I'm going to pay over $2,000 in property taxes, which is crazy because I live out in District 2, and District 2 costs the city $20 million a year every year. So like I don't pay nearly enough in taxes.
Right.
But how do you tell people that they don't pay nearly enough in taxes? Yeah. Anyways, so the foundation of this problem in Nova Scotia, Halifax specifically, is our land use. Like the suburbs are just, they cost more money than they bring in. They cost a crazy amount of money in roads, garbage collection, whatever. And you just, because they're low density, you just don't have a lot of taxpayers there. So raising the tax level to the point where, you know, it would cover the cost of what you've built is very high, and people don't want that, obviously, because living is very expensive. But one of the other big issues too that I don't think gets enough attention is, you know, the John Hamm Darrell Dexter combo with the property taxes, because the Hamm government put the property tax cap in, and then Dexter's government indexed it to inflation.
Right.
Both of those decisions were terrible, and I did a bunch of research down at Province House to try and figure out like what cabinet knew at the time when they were indexing it to inflation, and the slide deck was just like, don't do it. No one understands it. It will create a crazy unequal tax burden. And
so
then
go ahead with it.
So yeah, so
and
yeah.
they did.
Yeah,
Essentially,
yeah.
there's one slide in that slide deck where it's like everyone has the picture of this elderly person in their home that will be like priced out of their home if taxes go up. It's not true, but that's the image everyone has.
Right.
And then, from what I gather, the big takeaway, like I interviewed some cabinet members, like after the fact, and they're like, you know, all I really remember about that was like the little, we didn't want the little old lady to leave the house, and it was like, oh my God, that was something that they were saying was a myth, and that's the only thing you remember about this policy. So, but that's created a huge issue, because like, if my neighbor moves and someone else moves in, their property tax is gonna reset to like $500,000 home, and I'm gonna be paying, you know, still $2,000 for the next 10 years, and they're gonna be paying 10, 12, 14,000, whatever that is, but we're getting the same services.
But the thing we're seeing too now is people are staying in their homes longer.
Yeah.
Right. It's, you know, my father, he's in his 70s. He's going to probably stay there another 10 years, where versus his father would have been, like his father's generation would have been 60s, early 70s, and they're now out of their big homes and into the smaller homes. Yeah. We're not seeing that now. And that's been a big issue with our housing market for Halifax too. Yeah. And like, it's hard too, because all the incentives now are we can talk about the financialization of the housing market or housing sector, whatever you want to phrase that. But one of the things that has happened kind of as the consequence of policies like the property tax cap, like the federal government juicing the home prices by giving people access to more money as opposed to trying to like bring down the cost or whatever. There's just a whole bunch of policies that are coming into effect, but we've made it into a market. And the way you make money in a market is by holding on to your investments, which is what people are doing. This is what we've incentivized, and it's now what's happening. So I don't know, you guys are real estate agents both, I think, right? So you'd be able to talk more about like the how it's affected people, like which houses are coming on the market, which houses people are staying in and stuff like that. But no, everyone wants to hold on to their investment for as long as possible. So they are.
Yeah. I actually had a scenario with a set of clients downtown Halifax, and they never planned on moving. And then the whole COVID thing hit, and they went, okay, when I can get $1 million for my house, I'll move. Yeah. It was something they never really thought would be a possibility. They thought, you know, 500, that's South End, 500,000, $500,000 homes, you know, that's just what they were. And then 2 years later, they sold. And
like it affects like me and my wife. Like I bought my house before I met my wife, and then we ended up getting my house because she was renting at the time. So we both moved into my house. She hates it. Like she doesn't like the layout of the house. There's a bunch of stuff about the house she doesn't like. I personally don't care. Whatever. I could live anywhere. I lived in a submarine, so this house is a palace. Right?
A roof. If it has a roof, and I'm not getting rained on.
Exactly. So we're like, okay, well, you know, generally people at our stage of life, you know, we're doing pretty well. We only got one kid, and it's this is the stage of life where we're like, okay, now we're going to upgrade to the home that we want for, when we have our kid or whatever. But it's like, no, anytime, any house we would buy at the current prices with the cap reset is just, we would become house poor immediately.
Yeah.
Whereas we stay in our house right now and we can like live like
Well,
we're millionaires,
and
basically.
you can essentially, if you wanted to, just renovate, add on, like stuff like that. You can put less money into your home yearly than it would cost you to buy a new home, and what your mortgage would go up.
Exactly.
And that's again what we're seeing the last 10 years too, is people are renovating versus the moving to upgrade.
Yeah.
Yeah, because again, it's cheaper.
It's cheaper.
Most people have the space. Most people bought bigger.
Well, and then we look at the property tax thing too, and now the way our market is, you sell for one price, but you're still paying high for the next one, and now your property taxes are going to be even higher again. So the government, hasn't helped the affordability really.
No.
So that's one of the craziest things that I've learned recently. If we have high property taxes, it lowers the cost of housing.
Yeah.
Which is, I was like, there's no way that's true. But I've gone deep on that one, and because essentially, if our housing market has been financialized, which it has, property taxes act as like a holding fee, like the fee you're getting, or the fee you have to pay to hold on to your investments. And the lower your property taxes are, the more attractive your investment becomes, which means more people are holding it. But the more attractive it becomes as an investment, the more people want it, which also jacks up demand for it as an investment, as opposed to just housing demand. So there's two demand pressures on our housing market right now.
Yeah.
So anyways, if we have higher property taxes, the demand for it as an investment goes down, which then in theory decreases the demand. But with the property tax cap, how do you raise taxes in a way that's fair? Because if you jack up taxes, I'm not paying them. It's anyone who's bought post 2020 who's paying it the most.
Yeah.
So it's an impossible situation, and really the only way out of it is to add more taxpayers and densify, which people also hate.
Yeah. Well, it's also
that's the other pushback that we see now.
I find the big issue with that right now is the whole call for affordable housing.
Yeah.
And all the stuff that gets given for affordable housing, and then all of a sudden that affordable house that's being built in a community is $800,000, hoping that people who are living in $500,000 homes will sell their 500, move into those 8, and then those 5 will become available.
But I won't, because my property tax will reset.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
and the investors, they're just going to put that added cost onto the rentals.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Or even just hold it.
Or hold it.
Because one of the other things that's crazy too, like I'm going to botch this a little bit because I'm still pretty new into the land value versus property tax argument here. But essentially, if we charge property taxes, like for the value of the property, which we do, if you let your property fall apart, it decreases your assessed value and it lowers your tax burden, even though the real estate itself is just as valuable.
Right. Yeah.
So you can see this in big box stores where they will often fight assessments. They'll be like, "No, look, this thing we built on our land is shit, and no one else can use it. You should assess it really low."
Yeah.
And so that's one of the many reasons that they pay way more per square foot or per yard or whatever than commercial properties downtown.
Yeah. It is something I in taking the appraisers course. When I did that, got my appraisers and everything, is I've noticed the one big thing is when they look at as if new. So what they'll do is they're like, okay, let's take a step back. Yes, you have garbage built on that, but maybe what you have isn't the best use of this property.
Right.
So all of a sudden the price of the land goes up because it's the best use isn't what's there, but somebody will come in and do it.
Right.
So you can have a rundown place all you want. It still has value, and that value might be based on your neighbor, might be based on your zoning, like what you can actually build there.
Oh, this is how we actually assess in Nova Scotia?
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah, I didn't know any of that.
So it's one of, there are 3 different methods that you can use. That's one, and every method asks for the highest and best use.
How can I learn more about this?
Just anything from the
appraisal.
appraiser.
Okay.
It's all on the site. There's a Nova Scotia Appraisers Association. You can find all of that in there.
Sick.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to be going into those documents at some point in the near future, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Especially as council takes their summer break.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah,
some light beach reading.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's what I found. It took me 2 years of doing it because the first time I'm like, this can't be right. I don't understand. And then when I got it under me, I'm like, okay, I went from real estate brain to appraiser brain.
Which
So
is
it's-
totally different.
So
yeah,
it's
it is different.
So are you saying it's possible then that like even if I let my property, say for example, I own what used to be a school at the corner of a very popular downtown intersection.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I let that school say like get condemned and like homeless people start fires in it, so I got to demolish it, it would still be hypothetically, obviously, it would still be assessed pretty high because the value of that land is very high because of future development and yada yada.
The
yada.
best possible value.
The Bedford had the spot down on the right by the basin.
Okay.
Where
yeah,
there
yeah.
were these 3 buildings that were derelict. They couldn't be lived in, nothing like that. They were purchased and left like that
Huh.
until they started building, like extending the road, building condos, these $1 million plots of land in the area.
Right.
All of a sudden, those buildings came down and those 3 lots sold for
And-
more than they would have ever been
prior.
sold with the building on it.
Right. Right. Okay.
Because the best
When did
use
the-
was to put a triplex on it.
And that wouldn't have been capped, obviously, because they were commercial or whatever. But if you go back to the tax history of those 3 properties, did the assessed value of those properties start going up as soon as the neighboring?
As soon as
Yeah.
the
Okay,
neighborhood started
okay.
building out, as
So
soon as that $1 million, $1 million piece of land went up, and it was it was lots for $1 million,
Yeah, yeah.
like less than an acre, like half-acre lots.
Okay.
If that.
Yeah.
So
were
some
going
of
up
my
for $1
assumptions
million.
here about assessments are wrong. But that's
yeah,
awesome.
and that's it.
Okay.
That was the same for me, is because when I first I'm just like, got into the business. I was 19, 20, 21, I think. Anywhere. I was around there somewhere. Who knows? I was in my 20s. And I was just like, oh, I can do a CMA. And that's all they're doing for the bank is a CMA. It's the exact same thing.
Right.
Until I took the course.
Okay.
And now I'm seeing, I'm like, oh, appraisers get a lot of hate because they're not hitting the numbers people want, or they're hitting too high. And they're like, no, my place isn't worth this much. I'm going to push back.
Yeah.
But maybe it's not in the sale, like just the real estate side of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you start taking in zoning, highest and best use,
Yeah.
you take in what could be there, like it starts shooting up.
Yeah. No, man, assessment's been a huge... That's the other thing, too, about property taxes. And one of the funniest stories about amalgamation, or that came out of amalgamation, was that, like, each individual city was still doing their own property tax assessments, and they were all just like lowballing their own property tax assessments because they were like, well, we're not part of Halifax, like we're Dartmouth still, we're not Halifax, so we don't want to pay taxes to Halifax, so we're going to assess our properties super low.
Yeah.
And like how the PVSC came to be is one of the funniest spiteful stories of amalgamation's legacy.
Yeah. So what else is, like, I know City Hall, there's been a lot of talk about property taxes. Like, and last time, I mean, they're always, one person agrees with this, but then someone else is pushing back. Like, do you think they'll ever find a conclusion and, like, see, like, the fact that, they do really need to do something?
I don't think anyone is under the impression that nothing needs to be done. I think they're just in a situation where all of the fixes, because we've been doing it, because we've been city building wrong for so long. I often joke we started April 2nd, 1955 when the McDonald Bridge opened. But because we've been building our city wrong for so long, it's been like 70, 80, 90 years, whatever math that works out to, of making a mistake.
Yeah.
And if you've made a mistake that long, correcting it is going to be very painful. And almost anything you can do that's incremental just won't be enough because of the scope of the problem at this point.
Well, and do you also think it has any play into whoever actually starts setting it right, because it's going to be an increase on the people? It's going to look bad for their party.
Yeah, the good thing about City Hall is that each councillor kind of lives and dies on their own. There is no parties at City Hall.
Yeah.
So it's a lot easier for them to do the right thing, as it were.
And then just do it when they're about to be done anyway.
Yeah, exactly. But they never do that. And
No.
it's a lot, with the property tax cap, it's a lot easier to just throw the province under the bus instead of
Yeah.
actually like looking
Yeah.
at what they're doing wrong.
Right. Easy to blame.
Yeah. And so one of the big, like, you'll hear Patty Cuddle is the big one that says this all the time, where it's like property taxes were never designed to pay for major infrastructure. And it's like, that is true. And if you've never really thought about it before, that sounds very reasonable. But at the same time, no one made council build so much major infrastructure.
Right.
Now, you and I will not think about the road in front of our house as major infrastructure, but it is.
Yes.
It's a hugely expensive expense for the
Yeah.
city. Each kilometer is like $1.2 million to repair. And we do have rural roads, like the province takes care of rural roads outside of the HRM center, but they, since amalgamation, have been trying to get them up into good enough shape to download them to the city,
Right.
which they're mostly done. I think they finished phase 2 in 2022, or maybe they finished it in 2022. I don't have my notes in front of me here, but
Yeah.
anyway, so now the city has like 4,000 kilometers worth of road, and at $1.2 million in 2026 prices per kilometer for repair.
They have to find the money.
And if
Yeah.
all of the damage to the road is done primarily by weather and not people driving on it, every single road needs, $1.2 million worth of repairs every 10 to 30 years.
Right.
And so it doesn't take long before that math just sucks and you don't have money for anything else, which is where we are right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So were property taxes designed to pay for major infrastructure? No. Why did we build so much major infrastructure then? And our only
Yeah.
way out of it is to change that infrastructure. So like change our roads to something that's less costly, bus lanes, bike lanes,
Yeah.
or add more people to help pay for the infrastructure that exists.
Yeah.
Neither one of those are very popular. Largely the former because it's not well understood, and the latter just because like suburbs are the Canadian dream now or
I
whatever.
think a big part of
Yeah.
that too is we, as the city was built, that infrastructure came. The way the roads were don't actually, like, you can put the money into it, but we need more roads. There's not enough ins and outs.
You can if everybody in your city drives,
Yeah.
you can never build enough roads.
Yeah.
No.
You just can't. The math does not work.
No.
I did the math once for Cole Harbour. So like Cole Harbour has Main Street and Cole Harbour Road.
Yeah.
And if you take the population, you take 60% of the population, like the working age population, and you divide that up into 6. So like 1/6 of the people are leaving every hour, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, Cole Harbour Road, Main Street, split evenly between the two. Each one of those roads would need 3 lanes
Yeah.
Yeah.
to accommodate
Yeah.
just like whatever that is, 1/6 of
Which
the
is why so
drivers.
many people drive Stewart Harris, because they're like, I'll just cut in between back and
Yeah,
forth
back and
as I
forth between the
go.
two.
Yeah, yeah.
I grew up in Forest Hills,
Yeah.
near Cole Harbour. So since '92, Main Street and Portland Street have always been an
Yeah.
issue.
Portland's
Yeah.
always been slower.
And it's only gotten worse
Yep.
since our population has grown.
Yeah.
Because there's no alternative, because you
Yeah.
can't do
Yeah.
anything else.
Right.
And cars have gotten bigger too, which makes the math even worse too.
Yeah.
Because that math I did, you need 10 kilometers per like hour segment of traffic leaving.
Yeah.
That's without stopping distances.
Right.
That's just cars bumper to bumper to bumper is
Right.
10 kilometers
Yeah.
in a 3-kilometer stretch of road,
Yeah.
right? So like as soon as you add stopping distance, as soon as you make cars bigger, as soon as you add more people, if you don't give them anything to do other than drive, like you just need more and more roads. So you're
Right.
always, and we have these strategic plans and things where it's like, well, how do we decide when to build stuff? And as we add more people without alternatives, it's like, well, we need more major infrastructure, we need more roads, but we can't afford more roads. So like, what do? We raised
Yeah.
it. No, we can't raise taxes. So
Because
what do we
people
do?
won't pay it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and now we're in this a bit of a death spiral actually, where like our road spending is, they keep having to cut road spending out of the capital budget and cut the quality of the roads. We cut the quality that the roads are allowed to be before they trigger an automatic renewal.
Right.
Yeah.
So it used to be as soon as roads fall below 70% good, they have to be repaired. Then we dropped that down to 60% good, and now we're down to 50% good. And so like
So we should be going back to gravel roads, and everybody should get a
we're
horse.
we're actually
Yeah,
not
yeah.
far off from being like, well, we can't afford to pave these anymore. But like, but we also can't make Dunbrack or Portland or Maine or like any major road. We can't afford to have them be gravel anymore either,
No,
right? So
no,
like,
no.
what do
Oh,
we
those
do?
would wash out,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, there is other places in the world that have figured this out. Like I'm pretty sure. I think it might have been Netherlands. They use bricks, so when they do need to repair, they take
Local
their bricks.
roads.
I might have even heard
Yep,
that from you.
you did.
But they
that's-
pick their bricks up, take everything out, they repair everything, put the brick right back down.
See, but
Downtown Ireland.
we could never do that though, because we could. There's
lot of
literally
heaving.
nothing stopping us
No.
except for the rules that we have
Right.
that say, like, although they've been changed recently, I don't know when they were changed actually, so we should be doing it. But essentially, those bricks only work if you have low traffic. So
Yeah.
you need to, if you have too many cars going through that road,
Yeah.
you need to then put barriers in so that, only bikes can go through at a certain point.
Yeah.
So you reduce the car traffic.
But there's got to be other materials in the world that, there's other roads systems that could work here in Atlantic Canada that might save the government. Who knows? Either way, that's off topic because we're
Is it?
talking about property
Carpet.
taxes.
But that's just it.
So
It's
again,
that's all
but
taxes,
again,
though.
what
Yeah,
does
exactly.
so what does our property taxes cover? Like, they're saying that the government's saying that's not what it was meant to do.
Yes. But then that's kind of true. It's kind of not true. The scope of what,
But they keep saying we need more taxes. We need to raise taxes.
yeah. And like, it all goes back to how many taxpayers we have and the
Right.
individual tax burden per infrastructure. And that goes back to suburban development because we're talking about roads and how, one of the benefits of roads or downsides of roads, depending on how you want to look at it, is that you can travel great distances at very quick speeds.
Mm-hmm.
So it encourages people to spread out because you get more space and it doesn't like, it used to be if you living 20 minutes outside downtown was a 20-minute walk outside downtown.
Mm-hmm.
But now I live close to Lawrencetown Beach and that's still 20 minutes outside of town, depending
Yeah.
on traffic. Well,
Right.
always now because I take my bike, but
Yeah.
whatever. So what that has changed. But as we've done that, it has allowed us to spread out our tax base. And roads are expensive, but healthcare is expensive. And like everything that any level of government provides is
Yeah.
more expensive when we get spread out. And when we get spread out, we just have fewer taxpayers in the same area to pay for
Yeah.
it, right? So
So what I'm hearing, up taxes, lower house prices.
yeah, up taxes, lower house prices, up density, raise house prices while lowering tax burden.
Yeah.
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 But
It-
increased density, I know that's a pushback from a lot of the public.
Yeah.
Not necessarily city, municipality, I don't believe. I think they're kind of on board with that.
Depends.
Certain councillors. But I mean, I said it before the pandemic. I'm like, we're Dartmouth, because I grew up Dartmouth. Dartmouth's in my heart. Left here for a long time, but always come back. But I said it even before the pandemic, and then during the pandemic. Why isn't this area built up? Like, why isn't this developed yet? IKEA shows up, and then all of a sudden, Dartmouth Crossing blows up. But that
could've
was
been
there
homeless.
forever as a rock quarry.
Yeah.
And an unused rock quarry for most of that time. So why didn't the government push early? Because they were pushing immigration here for decades.
Why didn't we just put housing on Dartmouse Crossing?
Well, that
That's
too.
it.
Yeah,
That
like-
too.
That's actually why didn't we put housing in a place that would have fit houses?
Yeah.
Because then you would, to be honest, I think that probably has to do with parking minimums. Like, and if you do the math on, if you were to add residential to Dartmouth Crossing, the minimum amount of parking spots that we would have needed to build in order for
'Cause-
dense units on top, plus the commercial, would have been like a parking lot 2 to 5 times the size of the total footprint of the current Dartmouth Crossing, and the current parking footprint of Dartmouth Crossing. It's just way too much land.
Yeah. But there's more empty box stores in Dartmouth Crossing right now than I've seen in a few years. And then there is new construction. There is a residential with commercial
Origin.
on the bottom. Origins.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is going up. I mean, that's going to draw traffic, I believe, and draw more people and more property.
And the zoning has changed in Dartmouth Crossing so that if those empty box stores sit empty for long enough, the new zoning will allow housing in a way that they
Right.
previously wouldn't. So like, and I don't want to say that the city's not doing anything. We are doing some things that are very, very slow. Like you see a lot of cranes downtown Richmond Yards, and
Yeah.
you'll see like the new Brooklyn or Little Brooklyn or whatever it's called on the Dartmouth side.
Dartmouth, yeah.
Those are all a result of the center plan in 2017.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's 90
But that was
years of mistakes.
2017.
Yeah.
Trying to fix 90 years of mistakes isn't a
Right. So what I'm saying though is 2017 they allowed an increased density inside the center plan area, so like the peninsula and inside the circumferential Dartmouth side. 2026 we're starting to see the completion of some of those units, and 2027, 28, 29 and 2030 we're going to see a huge increase in the tax efficiency of our downtown
Right.
districts. And so in theory, when these properties start to come online, this actually won't happen because our expenses are also going up exponentially. But if our expenses had stayed flat as these new units come online, everyone would have seen their property taxes go down.
Right.
And it's what's really funny to me too is that like the Fillmore was running against Way Mason there. He was it's like the flat tax rate or whatever.
Yeah.
And because we were having units go in and just a whole bunch of things, if we had kept a flat tax rate the year that Fillmore was promising to keep a tax flat rate, like that election year, property taxes would have gone up.
Yeah.
Whereas what council did, the tax rate council actually set was a decrease in real tax rate by like 1.5% or something. So like on the year Fillmore was campaigning on a flat tax rate, council had lowered taxes, and yet Fillmore's campaign was crazy popular because no one knows how taxes work. Like no one understood that they actually paid less taxes the year that Fillmore was campaigning on a promise to raise taxes.
Yeah.
Everyone understood that as a promise to lower taxes instead. So like that, I think that's also one of the big issues, is that people just don't understand how our taxes work and the limitations and what actually fixes it and yada, yada, yada. It's one of the big reasons I yell into a microphone every Monday.
Well, that's like us with the deed transfer tax. It's
Get rid of it.
explain that to my clients. I'm like, well, it's the one-time grab fee. The one time the government reaches in your pocket and then they say they're going to fix this or this or this, but we don't actually know where that money goes.
It just goes into general revenue. We've used the deed transfer tax for the past, I don't think last year, but for a long time since I've been covering City Hall. Deed transfer tax. Oh no, that's right. Anyways, the deed transfer tax, there was a lot of, we just had a lot of it. Like it was a surprise amount. And we budgeted like $2 million and it was $20 million. I don't know the actual numbers, but like we budgeted crazy low and it was just like huge amount of money.
Right.
And council was like, oh, we can use this as operational money to keep taxes low. And it's like, yeah, we could, but we need other things too. And they're like, excellent, we'll keep taxes low.
Oh my.
So we kept taxes below inflation for like almost a decade under Mike Savage, which is ultimately underinvesting in the city for over a decade. So now our infrastructure deficit is huge. We're using the deed transfer tax as operational money instead of like windfall money to like buy a new, like if you, in your own personal life, people use windfall monies to like buy that dishwasher that they need because the one they have works. But we didn't do that. We were just like, sick. Let's go. Let's go to the restaurant.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, we're seeing it now with all the infrastructure, like the major pieces of the forum. That's been a talking piece forever.
And every time we delay it, it just gets more expensive.
And same with Wanderers Ground. Like again, like the article in the Global yesterday, Derek talking about potentially having to find private and move it somewhere else.
Yeah.
But ideally, it's still the best location. And from the time Derek first announced that stadium proposal to when Halifax actually sent their people to look into it, the cost raised, and now the cost is probably raised once again.
Oh, absolutely, because like cost doesn't go down ever.
No.
Like inflation slows down, which means a lot of people for some reason think that means prices go back down. It's like no. Inflation slowing down means prices just go up like the normal rate again.
I just find like our municipality, I don't know if it's like this across Canada. I know I lived in Fredericton forever, and it was very much like this, but slow. Like everything is slow. And I mean, I've always said the Maritimes is 10 years behind the rest of Canada, right? Our fashions come here 10 years later. Our food comes here 10 years later. Scooters. But why is our municipality, they see the issues, they see the needs of our...
They don't.
I guess, some of them don't. I definitely don't. I think some councillor do see, like they hear their people around them and they hear the needs and wants of the public, but there's others that push back way too much. Yeah,
so this is a bit of a tricky issue, and Halifax is like set up perfectly to never solve its issues. Yeah. Because essentially if the city did its budgeting better, it would solve a lot of these problems, I think, because a lot of the excuses would go away. But essentially, like, if you're budgeting at home, you need to figure out how much something costs, and then you need to figure out how much money you have, and then make sure those two numbers match up. But in Halifax, we never actually figure out how much our districts cost us. So every single one of our councillors lives with the impression that their district operates at a revenue positive, so they're generating money, and everyone else is a freeloader. Yeah. The suburban councillors believe that incorrectly that their districts are in the black, and we keep investing in downtown, which is not fair because the suburbs pay so much in taxes. So that like, why doesn't the suburbs get invested in as well? So I think we really need to change how we calculate. Like the city just should do the budget better, and we can do it because like myself and a guy named Kevin who runs a YouTube channel called HFX by Bike. We took the district revenue and district expenses and just put them together and made the article was called HRM Fiscal Power Rankings. And like that's how I know that District 2 loses $20 million. That's how I know Cole Harbour loses $5 million.
Yeah, I think the whole the whole way that's working is you guys are on the outside without that skin in the game of, oh, I'm not freeloading, you're freeloading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where if everybody who is looking at just their own took a minute to come together and look at everybody's and actually saw where they sat, and like everybody actually, instead of working against each other, worked together.
Yeah,
that wouldn't be an issue.
And if we did our budgeting better, you'd be able to see that like Lower Sackville's getting $30 million for the Sackville Sports Stadium. And proportionally, like if you were to do how much is that based on their income, like their revenues versus expensive, that's like, that would be like District 15. The equivalent in District 8 would be like if District 8 got 1.5 forums is the same, is like the equivalent of the Sackville Sports Stadium getting $30 million based on how much money Sackville actually brings us in.
Right.
But sorry, that was all context, because the big issue for our city, I think, is that most of the suburban councilors, suburban councilors are a majority on council. Most of them represent districts that are freeloading, like they're costing the city more money than they bring in revenue. But no one in their population base either understands that or is willing to accept it, or except for very few people who are like, no, please tax me more. Like, we don't pay enough, and I want a city that works into the future.
Yeah.
Those people are so small as a percentage of the population. So our suburban councillors outnumber the urban councillors, and they're incentivized to keep downtown subsidizing the suburbs, because that's almost explicitly what they're elected to do and being asked to do by their constituents.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of an
But again,
impossible.
that's coming from, it's like anything. We see it in the business.
Yeah.
We see it all the time. Is when you come from a place, and not ignorance in the way of people are rude and stuff, but of ignorance as in not knowing.
Yeah.
When you come, and it's why we actually started the community game plan, was to inform.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We want people to
Education.
understand all the aspects. When you're coming from a spot where you don't know and you have a voice to make a change, you're gonna make the wrong one because you don't actually know the facts.
Yeah. So like you Trish Purdy is the person I use often as a caricature of this, because she just so often like says the thing that you're not supposed, like, she's saying the quiet part out loud, but it's common sense or common knowledge. Like, she was talking about how we can't afford to like make Cole Harbour Road one of those one lane in each direction into a bus lane. It's like, well, actually, no, that's literally the only way to solve congestion in Cole Harbour.
Yeah.
Right.
And she's like, well, we can't do it because congestion will get worse. And it's like, that's not how physics works.
No.
It's not how buses
No. I can tell you right now.
When you take more cars off the road and you put one vehicle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like I go Eastern Passes to Auburn High to coach soccer.
Yeah.
And it's during rush hour.
Yeah.
That takes me a long time, and
Yeah.
it's, I mean, coming Caldwell, you're single lane,
Oh, yeah.
and then you come on to Cole Harbour and it doubles, but you're still,
Yep.
you know, the traffic coming from Forest Hills up, and then the traffic coming down Portland to Cole Harbour, you're bottlenecked right there.
100%.
I lived in Lake Echo, went to Auburn. All my friends lived in Colby or Cole Harbour and Forest Hills.
Yeah.
The only reason I know how to get around and avoid
I know all
traffic
the side
is
streets.
because I
Yeah.
had to.
Oh yeah,
Like-
I zipped through Colby, like, I know like the back of my hand.
Yeah. And like, it's one of the big reasons. I mean, there's a whole chain of events where I ended up with an e-bike, but essentially like the reason I take my bike into Cole Harbour and ride my bike in from Cole Harbour is because my driving biking combo takes me like 37 minutes to get to City Hall. My just driving combo, or if I just drive, that will sometimes take me 30 minutes, and sometimes take me an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And so like, how much time have I saved with that consistency of the 37-minute commute? Probably like a day at this point, because I've been doing this for a few years now.
7 minutes from your your best time. So you're 7 minutes slower from your best time.
Exactly.
And an hour and 7 minutes better than, or an hour better than
Or
your
more.
worst time.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, because my father used to live work at Windsor Street.
Yeah.
And he could get to work at 6 in the morning like
problem.
that.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
it was time to come home, get off at 4,
Yeah.
you'd be walking in the door 5:15 at the earliest.
100%. And there's nothing like sometimes I'll take the long way home from City Hall when I'm on my bike, just go all the way down and pass everyone on Lower and Upper Water Street in that bike lane. It's just like, ha.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. I mean, not for the drivers on Lower Water Street, but for
No,
me, it's a lot
no.
of
I
fun.
used to feel the same on
I lived in. I used to live in
the
the south end of Halifax, but I was going to university, working in the nightclubs and stuff. So my mode of transportation were rollerblades.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
That's when I could, my 20s. It was a
when I
little
could
different.
rollerblade in Halifax. When I was a superhero.
Now I coach soccer for an hour and a half, and I'm winded. I'm winded 15 minutes in usually.
Yeah, man.
I don't know. Like, I mean, the big thing for me, I mean, we could. There's so many different topics.
He's right. We could
to.
go until 6 o'clock easily.
There's a couple different ways we can look, because that is one thing. So the next thing too is, let's talk about development and developers
Sure.
in the aspect of city and what's going on, because they're everywhere we look right now. There's developments, right?
Yes.
So one thing I was thinking of is how much influence do developers have over the planning decisions? Is the relationship healthy with councillor? Are they meeting with them, or is there problems and stuff like that?
So that's a bit of a mixed bag, and it really depends. Like, you'll remember some headlines like the mayor's office has coordinated 2 meetings with the Construction Association of Nova Scotia. One of them was characterized by Councillor Sam Austin as I can't remember what he said, but like the definition of a backroom deal. So
Right.
like that type of stuff isn't all that good.
Yeah.
And there was that one case where like the province walked back, or made the city walk back electric vehicle charging parking spots, and that was I can't remember the name of the guy who runs UDI, Steve Adams, I think. Anyways, the guy who runs UDI, then as soon as that change went out, was like, look, I lobbied the provincial government for this change. This is all me. And it's entirely possible that he's doing that because he's a lobbyist. And if the thing you've been lobbying for happens, it doesn't matter how much influence you actually had.
Yeah.
It's
You're
a
gonna
sales
claim
pitch
it.
to say,
Yeah,
exactly
yeah,
right.
yeah.
So it's hard to say how much influence was actually there. So like there's some situations like that where it's not great.
Yeah.
And there's definitely the perception that developers kind of like have special access to council, and they do in a way, but also not really, because like anytime I've been doing a lot of research into road safety, and anytime I think I come up with something important and I want to talk to councillors, I'm like, hey, can I talk to you about road safety? They'll take my meetings too. So I don't think that's untoward, and I don't think that's bad. And councillors they have to be sponges for everything, so they need to be able to take meetings with people.
Yeah.
And you do have some developers who want the city to be a better place, like the guy Richmond Yards, Danny Chandra, and the Richmond Yards. Like he is fighting the city against the city's kind of political desires to make downtown anyway around his developments good and sustainable and forward looking, and like he's making sure his designs can accommodate bus rapid transit and stuff like that. So I think it's a bit of a mixed bag. There's good people in the city. There's bad people in the city. There's good developers in the city. There's bad developers in the city.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think is really beneficial that developers, I think, have had an influence in is that there are no more parking minimums inside the urban service boundary in the HRM, which is a huge, huge land use reform
Yeah.
that I think came from developers, because developers, when they're doing the math about how to make housing more affordable, if you have to dedicate X amount of space on your land to parking spots, it makes the economics of building just so much more expensive.
Right. So they're gonna have to build smaller and
Less units, smaller units, take up less of the lot, yada yada. And if you take up less of the lot too, that means more infrastructure for less housing,
Right.
which increases the cost to service that development as well.
Yeah.
Anyways, so those are gone. Ever since like spring of this year, gone. So we're going to start to see developments go up with like no parking.
Yeah.
We've been seeing that along the Bedford Highway like crazy.
Yeah.
I know,
Yes,
but
yeah.
it used to be, it was mandated, and now it's like
Now it's
developers are just, whatever the market demands is what we'll put into our
Yeah.
thing. So you're going to start to see development with less and less.
And again, that has the issues on its own.
No,
as
that
far
has no
as-
issues.
Oh, it has big issues on house prices.
Wait, how?
Your home prices are going to go down if people don't. If you're going down a road that has people parked all along the side,
Oh.
that's going to make it less desirable for people to want to live on it.
Yeah,
which is
but
gonna bring down your home
council
price.
can regulate on-street parking whenever they want.
Oh, they can. They can. But again, it's
This does not have to be an issue.
but it is.
I know.
Whether it has
But
to
it's-
or
but
not,
it's an issue
it
either way,
affects,
right?
Yeah,
So,
it
like,
affects the prices of houses.
It affects the price of the house, it affects bus service, it affects fire response, it affects snow clearing, like it affects
Yeah.
so much if you have cars parked on the street. There is no reason to let it happen.
Yeah.
Or like you can make it so if you designate parking spots and charge a shit ton of money for them,
Yeah.
you can do things like parking benefits districts, which
Yep.
I think might actually be happening soon. So TBD.
Like South End has a lot of that. Like they have designated parking areas, like where you don't. It's like you can have one car,
Right.
Yeah.
and then you have to park that other car. You can park here. Here's a parking area for you.
Yeah. So like council can do a lot to regulate parking, and they're starting to. So I am a little bit optimistic there. And the other thing too that will happen in the longer term is that if you start building places with no parking spots, people who move in there won't have cars,
Yeah.
and then the
They'll be
political
taking the
pressure
buses,
to
and again,
improve transit and active transit.
That's what was supposed to happen to Bedford with
Right.
the ferry terminal.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was supposed to take a lot of cars off the road, off the Bedford Highway.
Why would it do that? They're not building anything around it except for parking.
But
Yeah.
that's what they're supposed to do. We just talked about all those right down the Bedford Highway, all those buildings that they're building that that have no parking
Yeah.
would be using it. Or
Hey,
a
but
bus.
that's just it. They're building the ferry terminal with park. Like if the thing that drives me nuts is that parking is such a low value land use for everyone involved
Yeah.
that like any one of the transit depots that we have should be surrounded by mixed use commercial. It
Yeah.
should not be surrounded
Yeah.
by a sea of parking.
Yeah.
But if you look
Yeah.
around any one of our transit hubs, what's around
They're
it? It's a sea of parking.
Yeah.
Our fundamental approach to transportation is just so fucking ass
And
backwards.
again, we're one of the few places. Like you go to England. You get off at Piccadilly Square. Do you see a parking lot anywhere?
No, absolutely not.
Not
No.
one.
Yeah.
Do you see the cars flowing? Yes.
Transportation
Do you
in
see
Europe is
buses?
amazing.
Yeah.
Yes. Do you see but we don't do it.
Right. And like one of the other things too, if you want to talk about England and transit and stuff, they're able to do rural transit because instead of us that do like these blown out rural exurban sprawly things, they do like urban nodes.
Yeah.
Urban sprawl is probably the worst.
Or
thing
sorry,
we have
rural
here.
nodes.
Rural.
Sorry.
Like, urban
Real-
sprawl is probably one of the worst thing we have
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Nova Scotia.
It is the single biggest cost driver across everything.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
let's
You're-
throw a 4-lane highway in. It's like why not just have more closer, like
Yeah.
more of them. Give them a city, or have them closer in instead of as far out.
It's the reason healthcare is so expensive. It's the reason your own personal budget is so expensive. It's the reason your taxes are so high. It's the reason your groceries are like.
Yeah,
The sprawl is a invisible tax on everything because
Yeah.
everything just costs more the farther it has to travel and the fewer people that are there to pay for it.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's just math.
yeah. Well,
People hate math though.
math is hard.
It isn't. Math is so easy. Man. I
Math
failed
is
out of theater
hard.
school and now all I do is math. Like, math is not that hard.
I'll go the other way. I'll get into theater school.
Me too. I feel math.
I did great in theater and drama, and I did horrible in math.
Me too. Man, my last formal math course was grade 10 general math and I failed it. No, I think I might have passed. I think I failed advanced and you have to get a grade
Go
10
back.
math credit to pass high school. So
Yes.
I think I probably did grade 10 general math. But that's my actual last math course that I've ever done.
Yeah.
And now all I do is math. It's really not that hard.
I think it was grade 8. I think my math teacher, he hated me. Did not want to help me.
Well, again, I think it comes to the passion. If it's math for something you're interested in, math's easy.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing. He failed me for the year, so I had to go to summer school. I had a 33% or something stupid like that in the school year. Went to summer school, finished top of my class with 97, barely studied, didn't do anything. But the teacher I had in summer
Made it
school
interesting.
actually made it so I cared, and he cared about me.
Yeah.
This other guy I'd ask help for, and he'd like gruff. He was an old grumpy old man, right? He just gruff and huff and puff, and and he'd never help me. So I just gave up. That's what I basically told my parents.
Yeah.
And
Man, yeah, my marks coming out of high school were terrible. I don't think I did homework at all.
oh, my grade 12 year.
And now I do homework the job.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
the job
Yeah.
and just because you want to know.
Well, my job is basically doing homework. Like I'm
Yeah.
reading PDFs and writing reports on them.
Yeah.
Like I do homework the job, even though I did not do any homework in high school or university round one.
You just wanted to perfect it.
I did-
Homework was wrong
I did
back
so
then.
little homework, I failed out of theater school.
All right. So, in recent years, have there been any examples of the council pushing back on development in any way that actually served the public's interest well, or in their best interest?
Not usually.
No.
No, normally it's like, I don't know when this one's going to air, but this past week in city politics on Bedford Highway, there was I can't remember. There's like a heritage property, and a developer wants to put 9 stories behind it, which they're allowed to do.
Yeah.
And the community council was like, no, you're not allowed. Even though our rules say you're allowed, you're not allowed.
So, yeah.
So now they're going to go to the NS whatever it is now, not the UARB. They
Just push back.
rebrand.
Yeah.
And so they're going to, well, they might not, but I suspect they're going to go to the UARB and be like, hey, we're allowed to build this. Can you make council let us build it? And council will be like, and then the UARB will be like, yep. And then but so we're just adding a year to that because people don't want a mid-rise development behind their heritage property.
Which is funny, yeah, because that was my next thing. It was like heritage properties have been coming up. I just had a buyer bought a heritage property downtown Dartmouth on Octolony, and basically it's got a condominium built in behind it.
Yeah.
Right?
Because they changed the rules.
Right. So, is Halifax balancing their preservation with the need of new housing?
No, I don't think they are. I think they're not. I think people are going about preserving heritage in the wrong way. Because I think that, like, if you take a really long view, nothing that we are doing here is going to be around in 500 years. And so, like, people are trying to preserve heritage in that they're trying to preserve it in like we need to preserve this in amber and it can't change ever.
Right.
But in doing so, whenever you do that, whenever you become so inflexible that you can't adapt, you don't adapt, and then eventually it goes away anyway. Yeah. And you're seeing this right now with the cricket pitch report, because they're thinking about replacing the Arthur Merrick Field in the Dartmouth Commons, and Arthur Merrick was a very instrumental figure in Dartmouth minor baseball. Yeah. And so they want to keep the field because it's preserving the legacy, the sense of place. There's a whole thing we can get into if you want about like how Dartmouth doesn't exist anymore, and that one of the downsides of amalgamation is like the province just straight up ignored the importance of self-determination for people.
We still identify as Dartmouth.
Right, exactly.
Self-identify.
And it led to like the assessment shenanigans. It led to like the Lake Banook being, because like Dartmouth was like Halifax can't get any of our reserves. We got to spend it all. So when we amalgamate, there's no money for Halifax.
Right. Yeah.
Dartmouth's money is being spent in Halifax. So there's a whole bunch of stuff. It was it's great.
Yeah.
Everyone
it's the
gets a
dark side.
change.
We're called the dark side for the reason.
Yeah, everyone shows up after amalgamation with new tattoos and stuff, but no, and a grill. No, but the proper way to, and it might end up being that the proper way to preserve the legacy of Arthur Merrick is to keep that baseball pitch, or baseball field rather. Yeah. But I think we need to make sure that we're keeping our sense of place, and we're keeping what's important to us of our past into the future, while at the same time adapting to the needs of the city right now. Yeah. And right now, the approach, or Halifax's approach, kind of generally, it differs on a case-by-case basis, is heritage preservation means freezing things in amber, and that's all it can ever be. And if that's all it will ever be for us, then we're not going to succeed at either A, growing as a city, or B, preserving our heritage. Right. So we're not really doing it well, but I don't think we have a lot of people thinking seriously about it, and it doesn't really come up enough for it to be kind of like a main driver or topic of conversation. Yeah. So I think we're just going to I don't know, if I had to read some tea leaves here, my guess would be that as we change to our new systems, the suburban plan and the center plan, and do all that stuff, we're going to kind of have to have different conversations about it. I think we're seeing it right now with the cricket pitch, and we're going to figure it out. Yeah. Maybe. Or maybe not,
Well,
for me,
eventually, it might take 20 years, but eventually.
I still think that it still comes down to, are we focusing, like you said, in amber? Are we focusing too much right here in Nova Scotia and not looking at how other places and other cities in the world have managed to maintain their history while still growing as a city and becoming a major hub?
I don't know if I can answer that one, because I don't actually know how much we've looked into preserving our heritage and stuff. But what I will say though is that the way kind of generally we approach heritage is that we only think about what's important to us right now. And I think paradoxically we don't think enough about preserving our past into the future. We only think about preserving it right now.
The way it specifically was.
Yeah.
Which leads us to sometimes like some bad conclusions, or to make us do some stupid things. So I think
people do stupid things.
Yeah, I know, it's
The
crazy.
human species
I know.
never.
Both individually or on a societal level, it never happens. That's why we have no idioms like the tragedy of the commons. Just none, because we never make mistakes.
I have never made a mistake. You,
Me neither.
Eric?
No.
Oh,
No.
actually, I've made one. Yeah.
Coming here.
No, well, no, I had to do a correction in Monday's episode.
Oh.
'Cause I missed a rezoning. It's the whole thing.
Are we allowed to
So,
have
so
people
you
who
didn't
make
do all your
mistakes here?
homework then?
No, I didn't. I relied on some heuristics. I took some shortcuts, and then one of my listeners was like, "You're wrong," and I was like, "Fuck."
Thank you. I did that it wasn't. You weren't wrong. You were testing your audience.
Well, and then by the conclusion is, but actually I was right. I got this detail wrong, but broadly speaking, I'm right. Let me talk. Let me explain this for the next 15 minutes.
This is where you were wrong, is in saying you were wrong once. Okay.
Yeah. One detail of a larger thesis was slightly incorrect.
All right.
Yeah.
That's forgivable. To err once is human.
Yeah.
I have to ask, because I just need to know anything new, anything more word on Wanderers Grounds.
No. So when the coast signed over the IP to us, like the setup of those shows were always, like Grand Parade. They were both conversational shows.
Yeah.
Grand Parade, I was the expert. Martin was the foil. Wanderer Grounds, Martin is the expert. I'm the foil. And then when they gave the IP to us, we were just like, okay, Grand Parade is my baby.
Yeah.
Wanderer Grounds is your baby.
Yeah.
So it'll really be up to him.
Yeah.
But no, I think he's just happier now.
Yeah.
He's living his life. He's going to the games as a fan.
Yeah.
And he's introducing his kid to the game.
Yeah.
So like,
He's busy.
well, not only
When are you stepping in to be the Wanderers person, Eric?
I don't own the IP.
yeah.
So, okay, the only other one I do want to know, anything else coming from City Council on the actual grounds?
No, not yet.
Not yet. When is the next type of thing? I
That's a
thought there
good question. They're coming. Staff got sent away to come back with design. Oh, I might fuck this up. But they're coming back with 3 design options, more costed. I can't remember what the phasing of that is called, but like they're going to come back to council with, these are our options, pick one or none.
So because they already came out with 3 options, right?
Yeah, so now they're doing detailed.
A more detailed in-look on.
Yeah, so this is what we think we can do, and then it's like, now we're going to see if it's actually feasible or not.
Right.
And then I'm pretty sure that's where we're at. Don't quote me on that one, because
No.
it's not the suburban plan. That's what I'm looking out for right now.
Yeah, and that's the big thing. I mean, it's the suburban plan and the center plan, right? That hopefully will help our city grow in the right direction. 'Cause,
Yes.
In the past we hadn't, and hopefully now we can move forward.
Man, I'm actually quite excited for the suburban plan.
Yeah.
It's coming up this summer, and it's, in theory, the thing that's gonna fix our land use problem.
Good. So you're going to come here and talk about that when it comes out properly, right?
Sure, absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Because actually, to have somebody who actually
Well, I mean,
looks at it from a different way.
That's the thing. We
is
attend
really good.
NSAR, so Nova Scotia Association Realtors.
Yeah.
They'll have something for us to attend to learn about this, but
Yeah.
we're getting one perspective,
Yeah.
right? So
the one
and-
we're being told to tell people.
Yeah, exactly.
The one that helps sell houses, maybe.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this has been great. I mean, like I said, I only touched the iceberg of things I actually did want to talk to you about, but I know like this could take forever. But down the road, I would love to talk more about bylaws, some property
Sure.
bylaws, and maybe we'll have you on again, and definitely for the suburban plan.
Well, I think for a few things, because actually, again, is we have the full out community stuff. We have real estate stuff. but this is both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of people don't realize is there are two parts to it. Being community and actually knowing what's going on is all in the same.
I would actually disagree with you slightly. I agree, but disagree slightly. Because like for me, everything is a real estate story.
Yeah.
Everything is a real estate story. Because every single story that I cover, any single story that anyone covers, is all dictated on the built environment. Because more often than we'd like to admit, however the world is shaped around us will shape how we do things. So
That's true.
almost every story that you can dig into, at the very bottom of that hole, is a real estate story.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, I agree there because I mean, you look at our clients and they pick a certain area of the city or outside the city because of their needs, right, and what they want.
And when those things change,
they move,
their location changes.
Yeah. And like the big example I love to use for this is like Andy Warhol, like the Soho New York art scene is a real estate story because they were like, we don't want these factories here anymore. So then they moved the factories, and then everyone moved, and then that part of town was so derelict and abandoned that they couldn't rent it, and the only people willing to rent it were the people who had no money, which were artists. And then all of a sudden you get artists paying 25 cents in rent a month or year even for these huge studio spaces. And wouldn't you know it, Andy Warhol shows up. You know what I mean? Like, does Andy Warhol exist if they don't move the factories? No, probably not.
And Soho now is far from the cheap place to live.
Well, because it always changes. But
Yeah.
at the bottom of every story is a real estate story, a development story, a land use
that's
story, something like that.
Well, again, thank you, Matt. So
appreciate
where can
that.
people find you?
So you can find my newspaper digitally, www.grandparade.news. We publish every Monday. If you subscribe, you'll get a digital copy in your inbox. And if you have a paid subscription, you'll be able to read the whole thing that Monday. If you don't, the following week, the paywall drops off. There's also a podcast by the same name, Grand Parade Podcast. That one I do for myself. It's a bit more yelly and ranty than you would find me on here.
I find it enjoyable.
Some people do, some people don't. And a long way of saying I won't be offended if you don't if you don't stick around. And on social media, you can find me shit posting on Blue Sky at Land of Sticks.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again.
No problem. Thanks for
Appreciate
having
it.
me.
Thanks for popping by. And we'll have to do this more.
No, please,
definitely.
anytime.
And if you need to pick his brain on appraisals.
I might. I'm gonna have to go read some stuff, but yeah, I might.
All right. Thanks again. So we'll wrap it up today. And thanks again for joining us on the Community Game Plan. My name's Eric.
I'm Jim.
And this is Jim. Thanks again.
And now for a quick break and a word from our sponsor. Wondering if the Halifax market is cooling, heating up, or just doing whatever Nova Scotia weather does?
Join us on the Real Estate Team podcast, The Community Game Plan, as we talk real estate, community stories, local businesses, and the questions everyone's asking over coffee at Tim's.
No corporate jargon, no sales pitches, just real people, real talk, and real estate.
Whether you're buying, selling, investing, or just being nosy about what your neighbor's house sold for, we've got you covered.
So tune in and be a part of the conversation, because in Nova Scotia, everyone knows someone who's moving.
Listen now and tell us, what's the biggest real estate myth you've heard lately?
Join us on the Community Game Plan, and thank you again from our sponsors, the real estate team at eXp Realty. Okay, and welcome back. We hope you enjoyed our interview with Matt Stickland. What was your big takeaways there, Jim?
I
I know we
mainly
alluded
just
to a little bit earlier.
yeah, no, I really just after that interview, I challenge anybody to have not learned something
Mhm.
in that. And you know what? Fact check us, fact check me, fact check them. It's all good, but if you did
Yeah.
not learn something in this podcast, I don't think you were listening, and I think you should go back and try again. Or you're just way smarter than me.
Well, that's the thing. We like I said before, like we came in there kind of open-minded. We didn't really have a structure. We had some questions. We wanted some topics to cover, but like I said, we could have gone for hours and hours, and we definitely will be having some more conversations with Matt, I hope, to really dive deep. And I think the wealth of information that he has that we can help provide our community is going to be very beneficial to us and to him and to all our listeners and watchers.
Yeah, I also want to reiterate something you make very clear. We are real estate specialists.
Hmm.
That is what we do. We are not brokers, lawyers, politicians. We
Hmm.
are not in the field of professionals on every level.
Hmm.
So if it's not real estate, talk to your professional. If you don't have
That's right.
one, ask us. We will find one for you, because there is a bunch of roads that I
Hmm.
feel like this chat went down.
Yeah.
And we have opinions.
Hmm.
But just because we have opinions does not mean that we are right. We are fallible. It's just real estate is our forte.
Yes, yes, for sure. We've been in these markets. We've been in buyers markets, sellers markets, balanced markets as we are currently. I remember my first getting in real estate, and the average days on market was over 300. Like, and
Hmm.
that was in Fredericton, of course, but it wasn't uncommon for properties to sit so long.
Yeah,
Now we're on the flip side. We're still dealing with super low inventory. Housing is not being built fast enough, where I've been saying it forever. Nova Scotia was a decade behind
yeah,
the rest of the country. Prior to the pandemic, we should have been building and starting to put in infrastructure, even if there was no housing, at least get the infrastructure going. And now everybody's in a mad rush. We don't have enough specialty people. We don't have enough tradespeople. And the population is going to grow again and continue to
yeah.
grow.
Yeah, yeah. Yet to be in a balanced market, like you said, with a low inventory, but also seeing people sitting on the market now
Yeah,
for 60 days easily.
yeah,
It's it, it's very interesting. I can see how it would be scary to sellers at the same time, but the fact is it's not abnormal. We're coming from the abnormal, getting back to real life.
that's right. Yeah, and as we know, I mean, we cover primarily HRM, but we do go to the outskirts, and we're noticing it's definitely on those outskirts. Those ones are taking even longer to sell right now. Pricing is super key for everybody, no matter your location, if you're in the city or outside the city. But yeah, that's what I'm seeing the most right now is pricing is the biggest issue. And
Uh,
some people still have that price in mind that was from 2 years ago, 3 years ago that we're not seeing anymore. We're not seeing the
yeah.
multiple offer situations as much. And then we are, it's because the property's probably underpriced to begin with.
Yeah. But again, at the same time, is we're also seeing the expectations for things that are
Hmm.
priced lower price points still priced appropriately. The
Hmm.
expectations are through the roof for what they should be getting for that same price.
That's right.
It's a weird turn. It's a weird turn. I'm interested
Definitely.
to see how it continues to build, but yeah, I'm just like between the convo, between seeing it on both sides, the highs, the
Hmm.
lows, the sprawl, um, yeah, just everything from expectations to pricing. I think
Yeah.
people are going to need to grab a new grasp on both of
Yeah.
those things.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the conversations us as professional realtors, not us, just you and I, our team, but everybody involved needs to change their speak, the way we're talking to our clients and setting
Hmm.
expectations, because there is unfortunately some people still not setting the right expectations in our market.
Yeah, yeah, or just people again still not listening to their professional.
Hmm.
Because that's the other thing is I think it's a service industry
Hmm.
without being servants. It's like you have a professional, you're paying a professional. Professionals getting paid. Listen to them. It doesn't mean you
Hmm.
have to agree with them. It doesn't mean you have to do what they suggest. But like you said, even just coming into this about this interview, open minds. We gotta
Yeah.
keep an open mind about how we approach things,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that goes for both sides of the table.
And I'm bringing that back to the municipality and city hall aspect of this interview. Sometimes it feels like they don't have that open mind, and even the general public, with some of the developments going on. I understand land is sacred. It's there's not much of it, but we still need places for people to live and work and do all that. So I think
Mhm.
if the government had more consultations with our association and with people like us, and those other groups, hearing out what's going on in our markets and the need and what we're hearing from buyers and sellers, that sometimes that's the hardest thing. Some of the stories that we hear, especially buyers that have been searching for over a year, sometimes 2 years, because they just can't find the right property or get into the right property for the right price. It's very difficult sometimes as a realtor to deal with those things too.
Mhm. Yeah, it's hard not to take it home.
Yeah, very much. Yeah. So on that note, we hope the interview wasn't as boring as this maybe or as down as this, but we know the market is going to change. It always changes. So we just got to stick with it and keep pushing away and set those right expectations.
Yeah. Yep.
So, until the next time, this is the Community Game Plan. My name's Eric Holman, and this is Jim Smarden. If you have any questions or if you have anything that you would like us to talk about or hear more from us about, please feel free to reach out. You can reach us at info@movewiththeteam.ca or, just reach out to Jim or I. We're on social media everywhere, the real estate team as well at EXP Realty.
We're out there.
Thanks again. So have a great day, and thanks for listening or watching, and feel free to give us some thumbs up and some reviews. Thanks again. Have a great day.